Welcome to the Wealth and Love Blueprint, where love meets logic and money reveals the truth.
All right, let's just get right into it. What if I told you that the single biggest financial move you'll ever make has nothing to do with stocks, real estate, or your business? The source material for today's explainer makes a pretty bold claim. The most high-stakes financial decision you will ever make is who you choose as a partner. You get it right, and it's like a multiplier on your success. But if you get it wrong, well, it can bankrupt you, not just financially, but emotionally too. So think of this as your field guide for identifying the relational liabilities that can absolutely destroy everything you're trying to build.
Look, it's a blunt question, I know, but in the cold, hard world of building wealth, it's probably the most important one you can ask yourself. When you get into a serious relationship, you're not just sharing feelings. You're essentially merging balance sheets. You're combining habits, ambitions, and your financial futures. So you have to be honest and ask, is this partnership actually generating a positive return? Or is it a constant, draining liability on my life?
And this right here is the heart of it all. The wrong partner can act like a hidden tax on every single dollar you earn and every goal you set. They can become a sinkhole for your ambition and a massive drain on your most valuable resource, the one you can never get back, your time. Now, this isn't about choosing money over love. It's about understanding that a truly healthy relationship and a healthy financial life are deeply, fundamentally connected. Okay, so let's start with the most obvious threats. These are what you might call the financial vampires, the ones who drain your bank account right in front of your eyes. These are the archetypes whose behaviors have a direct, immediate, and often devastating impact on your bottom line. We're going to break down their tactics one by one. So this first type goes way beyond just someone who enjoys the finer things in life. The core issue with the spendthrift is a deep, fundamental disrespect for the effort it takes to earn money. To her, your hard-earned cash is just a tool for her immediate gratification. And those financial goals you two talked about, yeah, those are, at best, a polite suggestion that she feels totally free to ignore. And here's how you'll see it play out. It's almost never just about a single purchase. It's the constant emotional pressure for the new phone, the fancy vacation, the designer bag. And it's often framed as a test of how much you care. Your money stops being a tool to build a future together and instead becomes fuel for her impulses, basically holding your commitment hostage. All right, let's move on to a close cousin of the spendthrift, but with a key difference. While the spendthrift is addicted to the act of spending, the materialistic woman is all about the why. Her entire value system, her self-worth, is tied up in things. For her, status and possessions aren't just a nice perk. They are the entire point of the relationship. And this is why the return on investment in this kind of relationship is so incredibly low. Her loyalty is what you'd call a depreciating asset. It's tied directly to your financial performance. You're not a partner to her, you're a provider, a utility. And in her world, let's be honest, providers are always replaceable the second a better funded competitor shows up. Now this one can be a little more subtle, but it's just as corrosive. This partner has a deep-seated sense of entitlement. She sees your income as our money, while her resources, her money, her time, her effort, are treated as exclusively hers. This sets up a completely one-sided venture where you're the sole investor, carrying all the financial weight and taking on all the risk. Okay, so we've covered the direct hits to your bank account. But the most dangerous liabilities, they aren't always the ones asking for your credit card. The truly devastating ones are the hidden wealth killers. They don't just take your money. They silently drain your focus, your energy, and your actual potential to build a future. And this right here shows the difference perfectly. Think about it. You can recover from a financial loss. You can always make more money. But what you can never get back is the focus, the time, and the mental energy that are the real currencies of success. Every bit of your brain power that's spent on drama is a permanent, irreversible withdrawal from your ambition account. A narcissist's fragile ego is like a black hole. And guess what? Your resources are its favorite fuel. She'll drain you emotionally with her bottomless need for validation. And she'll drain you financially to keep up the lifestyle that she thinks proves her superiority. In her universe, you're not a partner to be loved and cherished. You're an accessory to be put on display. This one is devastatingly simple. You just can't build a strong building on a cracked foundation. Trust is the absolute bedrock of any partnership, especially a lifelong financial one. We're talking about half-truths about spending, secret credit card debts, hidden accounts. These aren't just small slip-ups. They're fundamental betrayals that make any kind of secure future totally impossible. The problem here isn't really about morals, it's about strategy and resource management. A partner who is constantly stirring up drama and jealousy is basically putting a massive focus tax on your life. All that emotional chaos she creates is a direct liability, eating up the mental bandwidth you need to be building, creating, and executing on your actual goals. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most devastating category. These last couple of archetypes, they don't just drain your money or your energy, they attack the one asset that is totally finite, non-negotiable, and absolutely irreplaceable: your time. Every single one of us gets the exact same 1,440 minutes in a day. That's it. That is your non-renewable capital. You can either invest it in your growth, in learning, in building, or you can let it get siphoned away by unproductive, draining relationships. The return on investment for how you spend those minutes will literally define the entire trajectory of your life. The cost here is something called emotional labor. And believe me, it is exhausting. Constantly having to manage her jealousy, calm down her irrational fears, and provide a never-ending stream of reassurance, that's not a relationship. That's a second, unpaid, full-time job. And that constant low-level stress absolutely kills the high-level creative thinking you need to achieve anything truly significant. So this last one is maybe the most direct piece of financial advice in this entire explainer. Listen closely. When a business partner tells you they have zero intention of ever delivering a return, you don't keep investing, right? So when a woman tells you she isn't ready for a real commitment, you need to believe her. Trying to convince her is a textbook sunk cost fallacy. You're just pouring precious time and energy into a project that has flat out told you it will never pay off. The only smart move is to walk away. Okay, so we've identified all the liabilities that can completely wreck your life's portfolio. So now what? How do you actually protect your bottom line? How do you audit your relationships to make sure you're building with an asset and not just carrying a liability? Well, it all comes down to a clear, actionable strategy. First, you have to audit her actions, not just listen to her words. Behavior is the only data that matters. Second, you have to set and enforce strict boundaries. Your resources, whether that's your money, your mind, or your time, are not a public utility. Protect them. And finally, make sure your core values and your vision for the future are actually aligned. You both have to be building the same thing together. And this quote really just sums the whole thing up perfectly. This analysis isn't meant to make you cynical about love or relationships. It's meant to make you strategic. It's about applying the same ruthless due diligence to your personal life that you would to any major financial investment, because that's exactly what it is. In the end, every great structure needs a solid foundation, and in life, your partner is that foundation. So take a hard, honest look at who you are building with, because that single choice will determine the absolute height of what you can achieve. Choose wisely. And if this explainer brought you any value, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns like this, and let us know in the comments which toxic financial habit you think is the biggest deal breaker.
By aligning your heart and your finances, you unlock true growth. Subscribe to Wealth and Love Blueprint.